Well, here you are, and here I am. Here we are together again. Good to see you, my friends. Happy Tuesday to one and all. And what got off to a pretty fun start this week with the Montreal Canadiens playing on a Monday. A busy week ahead for the Habs, my friends. Yes, the Canadiens in action last night. They're back at it on Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday. 4 games this week. Makes up the Montreal Canadiens schedule as the push to the Christmas break is on, my friends, and it is on in full effect. Lots to get to today. Of course, the In the Car with Star proud presentation of Vache Gregoire Chambord Nissan, my beautiful Maxima SR, 300 horsepower in this bad boy. You can get one just like I have at Vache Gregoire Chambord Nissan, 4299 Auto Route 440 West in Laval. AccentGroup.com, the masters of logistics. If you need problem solved, AccentGroup.com is the website you want to go to sort it through. And of course, tell them, as always, In the Car with Star sent you. K-Stop Gas Bar and Depanneur and Little Bear Online, littlebearonline.com. Promo code In the Car 10. You can save yourself some bucks. At Christmas time, holiday time, we are here. It's holiday season. And littlebearonline.com, we can save some money for your pets, proudly serving the Montreal community since 1994. They also do deliver. So if you're in the area, hit them up at Little Bear Online, use that promo code, save yourself some money, and stay home. It's cold, super cold outside. And here we are in the aftermath of the Montreal Canadiens skating off with a 2-1 shootout victory over Calgary last night. Man, lots to take away from this game, no doubt, including Juraj Slafkovsky. I don't know what your perspective is on what this 18-year-old and what his future has in store for him, or the immediate future about Juraj Slafkovsky. Does he stay with the Montreal Canadiens? Do you send him to the World Juniors, a la Shane Wright, who will be, I guess, the number 2 center for Canada, second behind Connor Bedard, for what promises to be a very energetic, very high-scoring Team Canada at these World Juniors. That tournament starts on Boxing Day on TSN. Let's get into Juraj Slafkovsky and whether or not we think it's in his best interest to be sent to Slovakia for the World Juniors, or is it in his best interest to stay with the Montreal Canadiens? But the nuts and bolts from last night's game, no doubt, has got to be Jake Allen for me. Clearly, I mean, this guy has refound his form. He's 3-2 in his last 5 games. He was outstanding last night in a 34 save performance for the Canadiens to preserve that 2-1 shootout victory. But in his last 3 games, this guy's rocking a 971 save percentage, a 912 save percentage, a 939 save percentage. I think he's got like a 978 also in his last 5 games. So Jake Allen establishing himself, no doubt, as the Canadiens' number 1 goaltender. Is Jake Allen a valuable trade chip between now and the NHL trade deadline, which happens to fall on March 3rd? Absolutely is. It's going to be fascinating to see where the Canadiens kind of slot in the standings as they creep closer to that March 3rd trade deadline. He's on a team-friendly contract. He's not occupying a percentage of the salary cap. He's not taking a big-time salary. So if there's a team that maybe needs goaltending, Edmonton, maybe Jake Allen might be the answer to what hurts teams that are ready to take the next step. It's going to be fascinating to see this process play out. But there's no doubt Jake Allen has established and re-identified himself as the Canadiens' number 1 goaltender. But what's interesting here, because a bit of a theme lately has been what Ken Hughes, the general manager of the Montreal Canadiens, has come out and said. We know Montreal has 2 first-round selections in this upcoming draft in July of 2023. Ken Hughes recently has come out and said that he is ready for a 3rd first-round selection. How did they get there, right? Jake Allen is a name we talked about. Joel Edmondson is another name we've talked about in light of, can the Canadiens get a first-round pick? Remember, Ben Sherratt got Montreal a first-round pick. Joel Edmondson, is he someone that maybe you could sweeten the pot with, and maybe Ken Hughes looks around? How about this name? And you saw him last night, and he scored a goal. Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson is 28 years young. It's wild when you think about the fact that Anderson and Sean Monahan are exactly the same age. Both guys are 28 years old. One guy has 2 brand new hips, and the other guy looks 28. It's I don't know why. It says something to me about where these guys are in their respective careers. But Josh Anderson, who scored last night to send the game ultimately to overtime, and then nothing happened there, including the Canadiens having a 4-minute power play with an extra skater for that overtime session and could do nothing with it. That power play remains a massive issue for this organization. But at the end of it, who cares? The expectations, what we think about this team, Very little at this point. Let's see when the Canadiens establish a competitive balance and they start to be a team that's very good every single night. Then we can talk about where the power play is. In the meantime, yeah, the power play sucks. And it is what it is. So I'm past that point now. I don't even really care about the man advantage anymore. I'm more curious about how this team responds off a loss, what this team's pushback is, and we're going to talk about the pushback in a minute. But Josh Anderson has 8 goals and 2 assists for 10 points. He's on pace for a 29-point season, 23 goals, and he's 28 years old. He's got 4 years left, Josh Anderson does, 4 years left at $5.5 million per season. And the funny thing with Josh Anderson is when he goes, he goes. And then there are times when Josh Anderson just doesn't go. And that's a frustrating aspect of this player's game. But when we talk about the fact that we're talking about a player that's owed $22 million over the next 4 or 5 years, I don't think we're talking about general managers that would be hesitant, trigger shy in pulling off a deal. Josh Anderson has 8 goals. He's on pace for a 23 goal season. That's all right, man. That's all right. And especially when it comes to depth at scoring positions, having a winger that is big, that doesn't shy away from occasionally dropping his lead shoulder, and the fact that we're prorating this guy to be low to mid 20 goal total for the NHL season. Let's put Josh Anderson on the trade block now. Let's do it. Let's make this happen. Does it not feel like a great day, a great week for Ken Hughes to make a trade? Let's set the bar. Let's set the bar now. Let's see Ken Hughes go out there and be the first general manager, be the smartest guy in the room, board of governors meetings in Florida. Let's get these conversations going. Josh Anderson, to me, has now moved to the top of the list of players that I think Ken Hughes has to move between now and March 3rd. I mean, in all honesty, guys, like Joel Armia, like, who is this guy? What's he going to do? Since Marc Bergevin gave this guy a contract, you know what he's done? He scored like 6 goals in his last 80 games. What the hell is Joel Armia going to do? Nothing. This guy is dead weight, dead cap. Another player. And if Mark Denis didn't bring this guy's name up today on the morning show with myself and Connor McKenna, I wouldn't even remember that guy even played a game. Who the hell is Evgeny Dodonov? What does this guy do? Qu'est-ce qu'il fait, ce gars-là? What purpose does Evgeny Dodonov serve on the Montreal Canadiens? Have you guys figured this out? Have you figured out what Evgeny Dodonov does well? Anything? Like, okay, great. He shows up. You know what that's like? It's like, you remember those old jokes on American sitcoms when the guy would correctly spell his first and last name on an SAT test and you get points for that? Congratulations, Evgeny Dodonov. You get points because you showed up and you put a sweater on and you moved your feet and you skated. Other than that, though, I mean, we're talking about, again, dead weight, dead cap space, because you get 0. You get nothing. I mean, God love Martin St. Louis. He's out there doing what a good coach does to a veteran player. Like, you want to get guys going, right? You throw Joel Armia out there on the power play. My God, that's where hockey and pucks go to die. Pucks die on Joel Armia's stick. It's enough. Dead cap, dead weight, serves no purpose. Evgeny Dodonov, dead cap, dead weight, serves no purpose. Just go. I mean, at this point here, I mean, what are we talking about? Like, there's no experimentation. Like, the book is out, as they say. Throwback to Cristobal Huet days with the Montreal Canadiens. Longtime members will remember that reference. The book is out. The infamous "The book is out." The book has been written. It's been published. It's been republished. And quite frankly, you guys, it's on the dollar rack at the Dollar Store, and it ain't nobody buying the Joel Armia book or the Evgeny Dodonov book. So just get rid of it. Just get rid of it altogether. No one's learning anything by reading this book. No one's gaining any significant advantages by reading this book on Joel Armia or Evgeny Dodonov, and yet the Montreal Canadiens have warm bodies. They've got a warm body that they can put a sweater on, and boom, he's out there on the ice. Because ultimately, if Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki and Kirby Dach aren't doing much, there ain't much happening. There ain't much happening. Which brings us to a bright spot, I thought, in the Canadiens' 2-1 win over Calgary at the Bell Center last night. Good to see this team kind of get back on it. Their last home win, their last regulation home victory was November 9th, 5-2 over the Vancouver Canucks. And the Montreal Canadiens had been outscored 15-4 in their last three home games. So clearly, playing back on Bell Center Ice has been a bit of an issue, and the Montreal Canadiens righted the ship. And that is one thing you can't take away from this team. This is a gutsy, balls-on-the-table hockey club. Martin St. Louis has this team motivated and primed to compete every single night. And that, my friends, is high praise for a team that nobody thought was going to do any damage. So when you look across the board, yes, the Montreal Canadiens righted the ship. They're in Ottawa on Wednesday, back home to face one of the worst teams in hockey in the Anaheim Ducks on Thursday. So it's a very busy week that wraps up on Saturday night. And one of the better bits of news that came out of the Canadiens' 2-1 shootout win over Calgary yesterday was the fact that Juraj Slafkovsky with Josh Anderson and Christian Dvorak or Jake Evans was, I think, Montreal's number one line. And they were good on the ice. They were threatening. And listen, let's start the Juraj Slafkovsky, where should this guy go next debate. I've already put my opinion out there. It was a no-brainer even before last night's game. I don't need to see Juraj Slafkovsky at 18 years old, who's played over 20 games in the NHL. I think he's played 23 games now in the NHL. I do not need to see Juraj Slafkovsky go play against 17-year-old kids at the World Junior Hockey Championships. I don't need to see it. People are going, yeah, but Sean, let him go dominate. Let him go dominate at the NHL, at the World Junior level. Let him go get that confidence. Huh? Confidence. Juraj Slafkovsky, friends, plays in the NHL every single night. This is not Shane Wright fluctuating between playing AHL hockey, playing NHL hockey. Confidence. Juraj Slafkovsky wakes up every day, and when his feet hit the floor, they hit the floor as an NHL player on the Montreal Canadiens. What confidence? If this guy doesn't have confidence as an 18-year-old playing in the NHL, scoring goals, contributing nice assists to Josh Anderson, what are we doing here? What is he even doing here to begin with? The organization utterly failed if they did not read Juraj Slafkovsky correctly. And I'm not saying they did fail, because clearly they haven't. Slafkovsky is getting better and better and better. And you know what? When you look at his game, not only is Juraj Slafkovsky stepping up and playing a lot more consistently, man, that feed to Josh Anderson, that is a confident NHL player. Full stop. And I don't think there's really much Juraj Slafkovsky is going to do for Slovakia at the World Juniors that's going to go there, and he's going to come back to the Canadiens, and this guy's going to be guns blazing, pushing guys around. No, I don't think it works that way. This guy plays in the NHL. He should be overflowing with confidence, full stop, and shooting the puck more, like Juraj Slafkovsky's mom told her son to do. Shoot the puck more. This guy has a very good shot. And now you're starting, I think I'm seeing more makings of a player that is worthy of being a number one pick. A guy who, again, is growing in confidence on a regular basis. And this is what I'm talking about with Juraj Slafkovsky. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, my friends. Give me another angle to Juraj Slafkovsky goes to Slovakia and plays with his teammates and does what? Wins gold, wins silver, they medal or they don't medal? Because what happens if it doesn't go well? What if, for example, Juraj Slafkovsky goes for Slovakia and doesn't dominate and doesn't score as many goals that you thought he would score? What does that mean? How does that change your opinion? Listen, the kid is producing. The kid is playing regularly. He's getting occasional better minutes with better line mates, and his game is growing. I'm not looking at a guy that is sagging. I'm not looking at a guy whose body language is poor or anything else. He's an NHL player playing on the Montreal Canadiens, and he's doing well. I don't see the benefit at all in getting him out of his routine, getting line mates out of sync when he's trying to get better every single day, trying to find chemistry. Look, there's no doubt at the beginning of this season, heck, even at training camp, hockey must have been at warp speed for Juraj Slafkovsky, like warp speed. Like, I'm sure when Slafkovsky's peripheral vision, he probably saw blurs. It was probably all blurry. Well, as his season ages, as he gains more experience, we're past the 20-game marker for this kid, things are starting to slow down. And once he starts to use that big body of his, man, get ready, because Juraj Slafkovsky is coming, and I see it. and it's coming on. So this is what I like to see, and that's pretty much why I don't see the benefit of taking this guy away and putting him with the World Junior roster to gain confidence. I don't see that angle at all. But hit me up in the comments. And tell me the angle that you guys see. Lots starting to come in. Let's get to them. Possible first-round choice capabilities for each player: Monahan, Edmondson, Anderson, Allen. And if that's the case, package to move up in the draft. Great perspective. I am totally on your page, because, again, it's hard to imagine, like, as soon as I'm done here, okay, go to whatever website you go to look at NHL standings. Look at the bottom of the NHL standings. There's no way the Montreal Canadiens are going to be as bad as who occupies the final bottom rungs of the NHL overall standings. Anaheim, Columbus, Chicago, Arizona. These teams, by a country mile, are worse than the Montreal Canadiens. I don't see a team coached up by Martin St. Louis that is ultimately going to plummet to the bottom of the standings, even though I tell you I can see a bottom falling out. But a bottom falling out doesn't mean rock bottom. Rock bottom is finishing 32nd again. That is rock bottom. And the team completely disintegrating and ultimately falling to 32nd place, that is rock bottom. The bottom falling out doesn't necessarily mean rock bottom. It means the wins, the competitive level is not as consistent or as stable as you've seen it through now getting close to 30 games. Montreal Canadiens is going to be playing a lot of hockey. They've got 2 very long road trips coming up in short bursts. They're going out west next week. They only have a few home games to play between December and January, so it's not going to be easy, and the schedule is going to get hard. As we've told you already for the last 2 weeks, only the Florida Panthers have a harder remaining schedule than the Montreal Canadiens do. So that's the order. Strength of schedule, toughest, Florida, second toughest, Montreal Canadiens. So let's see when the rubber meets the road how Montreal adjusts to that as injuries pile up. Brendan Gallagher on IR. Mike Hoffman's back, though. Still no David Savard, and round we go. Montreal is in Ottawa tomorrow, back home Thursday to play one of the worst teams in hockey in the Anaheim Ducks. It's going to be interesting to see if Montreal plays down to the level of the opposition. But yes, Josh Anderson, if you're just joining us, Josh Anderson is my new guy. We are moving Josh Anderson to the top of the list in order for the Montreal Canadiens to get what Ken Hughes wants, and that is 3rd overall pick. Josh Anderson scored that tying goal yesterday. He's on pace for a 23-goal season. And he's got 4 years left at $5.5 million per. As Jantan points out here, this would be a perfect opportunity for the Montreal Canadiens to talk about maybe doing some sort of package, some sort of maneuverability where this team can ultimately get that 3rd overall pick, if yet move up the draft order if they don't get there organically. More comments coming in. Glennie Bauer, what up, Glennie? Glenn. Dandy was a complimentary player in Florida, Ottawa, Vegas. He needs to play with stars to produce. So what up, Glennie Bauer? Thanks, Mark Cormier. With a guy like Adam for development, he's only going to get better. Totally agree. And Gagnon Juniors will let Slafkovsky have more ice time in a very competitive tournament. It's only 2 weeks. Why not? Why not? Because, I mean, yes, it's a very competitive tournament, but what more do you need to see? Like, this is the takeaway for me. Again, if you're just joining us, my argument is Juraj Slafkovsky does not need to go to the World Juniors to represent his country to fight for gold. I don't see it. He's playing over 11 minutes a night. He's moving up and down the lineup. He's getting power play time. He's playing on a team that is trying to develop a winning culture, of which he is going to be a major part of. And he's got a great coach who no doubt has learned how to perhaps get along with Slafkovsky and vice versa. So, like, I don't want to disrupt any of that for 2 weeks. For what? Like, what's the reward? Like, what's the reward? So Slafkovsky goes and plays. He goes from 11 minutes or 11:40 a night to what? 17 minutes, 18 minutes, 19 minutes? Like, how big of a jump are we talking about? And is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, no, not in my eyes. I'm not, listen, no disrespect, Glenn and everyone else that thinks that him going to play for Slovakia for 2 weeks is beneficial for his confidence. I don't see that argument. He's playing in the NHL. Like, we all dreamed. Like, if you're a hockey fan, we all dreamed, yes, of playing for our country. We all dreamed of that. But ultimately, the goal is to win the Stanley Cup, right? When we're all kids playing outdoor hockey together with our pals, like, here comes Sean Starr breakaway, Canadiens win the Stanley Cup. We all did that. We all did that. Yes, and you can dream about winning gold for your country, but the goal, the carrot at the end of the stick is going to the NHL. And he's 18 years old, guys. He's there and getting better, and he's getting better. That to me, listen, if it was a case of Shane Wright, like Shane Wright as an example, right? The guy who was supposed to go number one, he goes forward to Seattle. He's up and down the Kraken lineup. Obviously, they promote him when the Canadiens go out there to Climate Pledge Arena last week. He scores a goal. It's great, yada, yada, yada. And he yo-yos back and forth. Juraj Slafkovsky has not been that. He has found stability, he has found common ground, and the coach likes him. His teammates like him, and he's learning on the fly. I don't think there's much else to learn at a lower level, playing with friends and trying to go out there and dominate. Like, it's not a given. So I ultimately think the Montreal Canadiens are going to do the right thing, and that's keep their 18-year-old with the Montreal Canadiens. And round we go, my friends. Habs in Ottawa tomorrow, back home Thursday to take on the Anaheim Ducks. Let's get into the couple of bits of nasty business in that Calgary game last night. I don't know what you saw when Trevor Lewis and Cole Caulfield collided in front of Jake Allen in the second period. And it was kind of scary, right? Because Trevor Lewis, I don't think saw Caulfield. Caulfield, I am convinced, at the tail end, saw Trevor Lewis. And at one point, you see kind of Caulfield go like this as he absorbs the hit. And then ultimately, Caulfield crumbles down to the ice after that collision. And you see him, he's kind of like holding his head there. I don't know. I mean, luckily for the kid, when he falls down to the ice, his helmet stays on. So his helmet absorbs the collision as he falls down to the ice. My God, it's people with their loud mufflers. Eh? How obnoxious. So Caulfield's holding his head. Whiplash, I don't know. Concussion, God, I hope not. It was interesting that Juraj Slafkovsky after the game said he had been through concussion protocol twice already in his career, and was talking about the fact that he spoke to Caulfield, and he believes that he's going to be okay. So maybe it's not concussion, whatever superstition thing you do in order to make sure bad things don't happen in your life. Go ahead and do that now. So, if Caulfield isn't there Wednesday, I sure hope he's there on Thursday when the Canadiens are back home to play the Anaheim Ducks. You never know with these head injuries. You always want to be careful. You always want to do the right thing. So let's wait and see what happens there, which takes us to our next interesting tidbit from the hockey game yesterday, and that was Captain Nick Suzuki colliding with Nazem Kadri of the Calgary Flames. Suzuki gets called for the interference there. Again, I don't think Kadri saw it coming. I do believe Nick Suzuki knew exactly what he was doing when he leveled the hit on Nazem Kadri. I don't think it was incidental contact, but I think kind of Nick Suzuki saw that contact was going to come, and it is what it is, and he gets called for the interference. I try to call it down the middle. Even though I am a Canadiens fan, I do try to call it down the middle as much as I can. I think the refs got it right. I really do. I think the refs got it right. It was an interference call. I don't think there should have been a penalty in the Trevor Lewis Cole Caulfield accidental collision earlier in the game. But for sure, Nick Suzuki has got to do a better job of avoiding that. But that's where it ends. Like, we're not talking about, a phone call or an in-person hearing with the NHL. We're not even in that realm of possibility. Just an interesting moment in the hockey game, which I find to be an underlining story with the Montreal Canadiens. And I'm curious to get your reaction to this. Because I think I'm picking up on a bit of a theme in one of the areas that Montreal is trying to get better at this season, and I think we saw it last night, because all cards on the table, that Canadiens Flame games last night was fantastic. That was a very fun game to watch, and it was a low-scoring game. It was a 1-1 game into a shootout, right? So it goes to show you don't always need a shit ton of goals for the game to be really entertaining. And that's the beauty of hockey. It's a violent sport, and it's a confrontational sport, right? And I love that so much about the game, that here you had Mike Pezzetta throwing fists, pumping the crowd up. Arbor Jacki fist bumps to Pezzetta. Arbor Jacki sticking up for teammates all season long. Nobody wants to fight Arbor Jacki. And the Montreal Canadiens, I think are trying to be tougher, and I think they're doing it. I really do believe that. I think they're trying to do many things, right? They're trying to be more entertaining. They're trying to be less reliant on goaltending. I think they're trying to be more dynamic. They're trying to establish a number one line. They're trying to get the power play going. Yeah, right. But I also think they're trying to be tougher. I also think they're trying to establish this kind of reputation of when you play the Canadiens, not only are you going to have to deal with a dominant line led by Suzuki and Caulfield, and Kirby Dach, what a player this kid's turning into, that you're not going to push this team around, and you're hella not going to intimidate the Montreal Canadiens. And this is an early vibe I'm kind of getting from this team, and I got to tell you, I love it. I love it. I've said this many times, like when the Boston Bruins went on to win their Stanley Cup, and when they beat the Canadiens in Game 7 in overtime in the opening round, and then ultimately went the distance and closed that series, you know what I loved about that Bruins team so much? Their team togetherness, their team toughness. Like, you looked at anybody cross-eyed, man, you got 4 guys to answer to, and you got tough guys to answer to. And I love that about that team. I really think if you can achieve that team toughness, team togetherness, that you have bad breath and breathe on my teammate, I'm going to kick your ass up and down the ice all night long. If that is authentic and genuine, you are going to be one of the best teams in hockey. Because it really is. It really is a mental game. It really is an intimidating game. And intimidating could be more than just toughness, right? Like having an Arbor Jack guy. Intimidating is Connor McDavid. Intimidating is Cole Caulfield. Intimidating can be a Caden Gooley, for example, when he reaches his ceiling as a player. That is very intimidating. Knowing that, oh my God, I got Caden Gooley tonight. Oh my God, I got to contain Cole Caulfield. How many goals is this got to score? Like, there are layers to intimidation in hockey, and there are layers and strategies that you can use intimidation to ultimately benefit your bottom line. And I love this aspect. Is why I think the Montreal Canadiens, they didn't hit a home run. They hit a grand slam with Martin St. Louis, because Martin St. Louis, man, is taking everything that made him a Hall of Fame player, and he's bringing that with him as a coach, and he's getting these guys to learn his way. And, I mean, you're learning from an elite level, respected hockey player in Martin St. Louis. And it really brings the point home for me that the Montreal Canadiens, man, are on the right track. They've got the right people in the right places, and things are going very well. And I would even say ahead of schedule, with Ken Hughes, Jeff Gordon, and the entire administration doing some heavy lifting and getting the Canadiens on the fast track to being competitively much better and much more consistent. And that game last night was a little bit of a telltale sign of when things go well, this is what the Montreal Canadiens are capable of. Great goaltending, strong defense, tough, and dynamic. That's what's happening, and they're young. I mean, it's check across the board. And I want you to check a bunch of things off your Christmas list, your holiday shopping list. I mean, I say Christmas. Fuck, I mean, who cares, right? Like, honestly, like, I'm a Jew. You think I get offended when someone says Merry Christmas? I hope we're not at this place. I hope you're not offended that I said Merry Christmas, or you're doing your Christmas shopping, right? Holiday shopping. I mean, are we at this point here, guys, together? Does it really matter? God, I hope not. So I need you to check a few things off your list, especially if you have loved ones in your house for Christmas time, for holiday time. And I'm talking about your pets. Little Bear Online, littlebearonline.com. Promo code in the car 10. They do deliver, and they've got Black Friday specials still going on to the end of the year, my friends. Go check them out online, littlebearonline.com. Promo code in the car 10. Serving your pets since 1994. This is a local shop. It's not a major chain. They're not talking about quarterly dividends being paid out to investors and shareholders. This is a mom and pop shop. Remember, during the pandemic, support local. Let's not stop that. Support local, support me, support my sponsors, and get the best care for your pets imaginable. And you can get that by shopping at littlebearonline.com. Shout out to my boy, Rick Springhetti. Rick Springhetti, who's been a scout covering the Montreal kind of corridor for a long time. And I used to see him at Verdun Auditorium for Montreal junior games way back in the day. And Rick Springhetti is a smart man. Very, very high IQ individual. Why? Because he went to K-Stop Gas Bar in Depanneur. It's right over the Mercier Bridge, Highway 138 in Ganawage. He got premium fuel at discount prices. He got someone to put gas in his car. I hope he tipped that person for that service. And then he walked in the front door, and loaded up snacks for NFL Sunday. Rick Spaghetti is the man, and as we told you, they got fresh prepared meals every single day. Like, for example, you know what they had yesterday at K-Stop Gaspar Depiner Highway 138 right in Ganawage? They had something they call the Jennifer Aniston salad. It comes braless, and it's very cold outside for Jennifer Aniston. Hey now. But it's the Jennifer Aniston salad is a honey lemon vinaigrette with chickpeas, quinoa, red onions, cucumbers, pistachios, feta, mint, and parsley. Sounds delicious. And you get that at K-Stop Gaspar. And they have every day they have a brand new special. So yesterday was the Jennifer Aniston salad. You can go there today. It could be a bacon cheeseburger soup, which is phenomenal, by the way, and that is on Fridays, my friend. So go check them out. Their menu changes daily, and everything is made fresh in-house. It's K-Stop, Gaspar, and Depiner, Highway 138 in Ganawage. What up, baby? Let's get going here. More comments. So many comments. Steph Howard, what it do? World Juniors is only 3 games for Slafkovsky. Slafkovsky is dominant last night. I agree. So what are we talking about here? Why he doesn't need to go to the juniors, continue to be dominant and learn to be dominant at the NHL level. 49ers, baby, says Costas Mamis. Yes, my friends. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. One of my better bets on NFL Sunday was the Carolina Panthers on the money line. That was one thing I did very well because I also thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to hand Brock Purdy his lunch. No, I couldn't be more wrong. It was quite the opposite of what happened in that game on Sunday with the 49ers looking full value. 49ers got the Seahawks on Thursday to open up Week 15. A reminder, my friends, the NFL into Week 15 now adds 3 Saturday games to their schedule. So games Saturday at, I think, 1, 4, and 8 o'clock. So 3 games on NFL Saturday and Sunday as well. Steph Howard, I agree with Mark. Slafkovsky with Monahan and Anderson. Absolutely. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. You get better assignments when you show that you are capable of handling them around. Costa Mama says Slafkovsky to the juniors. No. Don't do it. I've already explained myself thoroughly on that one. Bob Irvine, what it do, baby? Are you a Montrealer? If you lived in the South Shore? Chez Maris, all dressed, were very good. Bob, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, Bob? I never said anything about being a Montrealer if you live in the South Shore. I don't even think I brought up the South Shore, other than to encourage you to go to Ganawage over the Mercier Bridge to go see K-Stop Gaspar. Chez Maurice, all dressed. Chez Maurice, the casse-croûte, hot dogs. Bob, what are you doing here? I love hot dogs. Don't get me wrong. I'm in New Brunswick, so I don't think they'll deliver. No, they won't. Unfortunately, but thanks anyways. I love New Brunswick. Shame on you for people. New Brunswick, Canada's drive-through province. You got to get to the sexy Atlantic provinces. You have to drive through New Brunswick. Shame on you. I love New Brunswick. I love the city of Fredericton. And lots of Maritimers today. Adam Foley in Nova Scotia. I love Nova Scotia. I could see myself when I was spending summers going around, whether I was in Fredericton, Sussex, New Brunswick, Gagetown, New Brunswick, all these little military towns and stuff like that, or Muckdoe. And then I would find myself, going a little bit further east into the beautiful province of Nova Scotia, the Maritimes' biggest city, Halifax, Nova Scotia. There were times where I would look, I said, man, I could live out here. I was so used to being like, growing up in the city, growing up in Montreal and everything else. Like, I remember driving for the first time to Atlantic Canada, and I stop at the, the Blue Moose or something, like some little gas station, whatever. And some guy's like waiting for me. I pump gas and I'm walking. Like it's not immediate, right? Like the guy's waiting probably 12 seconds, holding the door for me. And I'm watching him hold the door. Is someone coming out? I'm looking around. Who's he holding the door for? He's holding it for me. Like this guy paused his life to hold the door for me. And he said, hey, good afternoon. And I looked around. I said, who are you talking to? He was talking to me. I'm not used to this. The hospitality of Eastern Canadians. I love you guys so much. Mark Comier, hey there, neighbor. Hey there, a couple of Maritimer boys getting together. I keep saying it, says Costa. I would get rid of Anderson, then go get Max Domi. Same type of player, same age, more points. Plus, he's more consistent. Max Domi has found consistency. But let's not forget, like, Max Domi came here, and remember he was talking about Jonathan Drouin is his best friend and, saying all the right things. There was a time where I think, maybe Max Domi has grown up a little bit. I don't know. Silver Fox in Moncton, what a do, boys. Thanks for watching, everybody. And the Montreal Canadiens, as I mentioned, are back in action tomorrow in our nation's capital. Then they're back home to feast on the terrible, terrible, terrible Anaheim Ducks. But last night's game, my friend, was a lesson. Last night's game was a lesson in what the Montreal Canadiens are trying to do. And boy, oh boy, do I see them doing it. Now it's time to make a trade. Time to start looking at Joel Edmondson. Time to start looking at Josh Anderson, who I'm putting now as my number one trade target that the Montreal Canadiens must move if they are hoping to get that third first-round pick in July of next summer. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for paying attention. Follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you later this week.